Thank you very much. Please be seated. Well, let me just say, Mrs. Abimbola Fashola is in the house, and she has refused to come forward. But I thank her very much for the support, and really, without her, where would I go? I also want to thank the Temple Group who put this together, and all are very intelligent, resourceful, and really great thinking panelists who have entertained us with their knowledge. They have shared their determination. They have shown that they are truly made in Nigeria, and that the undying spirit of Nigeria resides very, very deeply in their heart. With these panelists, I am sure that Nigeria is in the right place and heading to the next level. You know, listening to them, telling us the truth, that we have to manage our numbers. So you can't, if your income is not growing, you can't just be having children. And it's a conversation we must have as a nation. It's a serious conversation. If truly we agree that there is poverty, if truly we agree that there is unemployment, then there must come a time as a people we must have consensus and say, let's slow this down a little bit, so that we can deal with those who are here. Otherwise, those we are bringing in are coming into what? That's not such a difficult matter to agree on. So you guys out there who are still doing that business, please slow it down, eh? Just slow it down. I didn't say stop it. You know, Abimbola and I stopped this business 18 years ago. So it's not every time you have to score a goal. So we leave it there. But we need to control those numbers. And those who say culture, that culture is an unproductive culture. It's a culture that will tie us down in backwardness. And we have to leave it behind. If you can manage 20, by all means, if your resources can manage it, go ahead. But if your resources can manage only 2 and you're going to have 10, so we leave that matter. So we have to confront these things. They have held us back for too long. You know why I have to? When I was alone, all my money was my own. So when Abimbola decided to marry me, she would just bring bill. So my 10 naira, my share was now 5. No, we were doing 50-50. And she was earning money, and I never asked her what she would do with her money. Then Ademola came. Then my share became 1/3. Then Olayinka came. Then I became 25%. Then I knew that, hey, madam, let's talk. Said I thought you were not going to bring it up. I was thinking that way too. So we just agreed. No more. Because the income wasn't growing. So just imagine. So if you are still at that 10 and you have reached 8, your share will just begin to drop from 50 until you are 1/8. But on a serious note, I asked the organizers to make 100 copies of this book available to the first 100 people who arrived today. And should you wish to read the book, well, you would have to buy your own copy. But it's a very interesting book. It takes you back to Nigeria's history, some topical issues that happened here. Some of them are repeating themselves. And I think those of you who were too young at the time to understand, or who had not arrived then. So if you were here in 1980, just raise your hand. You were here in 1980. You had arrived. Okay. But there's a very interesting chapter. How many of you have heard about the cement armada? How many? The cement armada. You see, that's why you should read this book. You know, in 1974-75, we built the Murtala Mohammed Airport. It was perhaps, I think it was the best airport in sub-Saharan Africa. If there was any airport that competed with it, probably South Africa, but I didn't even know South Africa then. And the plan was that we would be expanding it. And at that time, I think Heathrow was Terminal 2 or 3. So, did it expand? And where is Heathrow now? Terminal what? You get the picture. So, there is nothing wrong with us. And the same is true of that Apapa port. So, you see trucks on the road today. They don't want to park there. They want to enter a place. They want to enter a port. So, if you read the story of the cement armada, it will reveal to you starkly, and you can Google it, it's reported online. You can Google it and you see what we did. Our port was built in 1920 or 21, and we waited until after the Civil War when we started massive reconstruction, and we imported more cement. Even at that time, Dangote hadn't started making cement, so we had to import cement. And we imported more cement than the whole of Europe could process at one time, and we put it in the 1921 port. And we signed demurrage agreement. And I think we were paying $4,000 per day at that time, per vessel. So it got to a point where the vessels couldn't discharge again. So the only way to stop the demurrage was throw the cement into the sea and go. In this country, don't believe me, go and read it. So they're very interesting stories. So what is happening here today in this port is not an accident. It's the result of the bad choices that we have made over the years. And that is what I speak to today about where the jobs are. Unfortunately, I don't have a prepared speech for you, but I hope that we can have a conversation. A conversation about what I am doing in government. A conversation about what President Buhari thinks that we should be doing in government, and Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Because I have heard people in an electoral season come and say, yes, you are poor, you don't have jobs, we will create jobs. But have you asked them how? Those are the questions we should have. Those are the conversations we should have. Why were there no jobs in the last decade and a half or two? Where are there jobs in the Middle East? Their primary source of income is oil. So we saw Dubai expand its airport, build its roads. They were making the same petrodollars that we were making. But where did the money go? So let me connect jobs to infrastructure first. So let's start that conversation. And there is this publication, I think it's the IFC, that just shows comparative analysis what happens to an investment of $1 billion in regions across the world, and depending on the state of development or lack thereof. And I'll just read some bits of it. A US $1 billion investment in infrastructure will generate approximately 40,000 direct and indirect jobs. These estimates exclude induced jobs, and I'll talk about induced jobs. In the Middle East, a similar investment will generate about 110,000 jobs. And in the Gulf region, it will generate about 49,000 jobs. Now, this publication then goes to talk about direct jobs, which are created in a specific enterprise, indirect jobs, which are linkage and supply-related jobs, and induce jobs which are examples of maintenance, consumption that go and support construction. There are other levels, second order or growth related jobs. But it shows very, very clearly that if you invest in infrastructure, you are attacking unemployment in many ways and on many fronts. Some of the panelists here have spoken to those issues about power supply, about bandwidth and internet connectivity. Those are infrastructure investment, about transportation. So what is the Buhari government doing? We're building roads in every state of Nigeria. The conversation before was there was no federal government presence in my state. That conversation has changed now to when are you going to finish the work? We are intervening in economic clusters. So you will see in Sura Market in Lagos, you will see in Area, you see in, what's the name of this market in Ibadan, and Sabon Gari Market in Kano. We're saying that businesses deserve and are entitled to uninterrupted power. And we are doing the same thing in 9 universities, building IPPs. We haven't finished them, but we have started. We are constructing roads in 14 universities, roads that have been left untouched for over 2 decades. So this is what we're doing, and they are creating jobs.